All right. So there's a shooting at the LVAC,
Yeah,
Las Vegas Athletic Club here in obviously Las
in
Vegas.
Las Vegas, yeah.
You know,
Somebody
that's
somebody got upset. They thought that as soon as they buy the membership, they were automatically gonna be in shape. They didn't realize they had to go in there and actually work out.
dude. That's where I signed up for.
Yeah.
I have a membership there. I
Uh-huh.
signed up at the location that the shooting
Oh,
happened.
yeah. I used to be up there too. Yep.
Absolutely
I honestly,
insane.
I actually like that gym, man. They have a bunch of fucking equipment, man.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but I mean,
That gym used to have it was like the first big
mhm.
LVAC. It was the first of that chain. It was the first one that had like the large second floor. Because before the first one was on.
I think the first one was the Eastern one. I think
I thought
Eastern
Rainbow
was
came
there, but
first.
no, I think
No?
Eastern was there just because my wife grew up in Vegas, you know. I think there was one down on the east side, then they opened the Eastern location, then they went over to the other side.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's fucking nuts. You know, somebody would walk in there and just start shooting random fucking people, you know.
Dude.
But I mean, I guess it's not as nuts as it used to be because it seems like that shit is happening like every month somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the interesting part is that they would have the no gun sign outside. And I always saw it
You
because
missed that one.
yeah, but I always thought to myself, I'm like, who the hell is gonna bring a gun into the gym? And now I'm starting to think like maybe I should carry my gun into a gym. And
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if like half the lockers in the locker room, somebody's got a gun in a bag there. You know, just
yeah,
it's sad, but there are people that you know, that's what makes them feel safe walking around with a pistol. You know, it's not like when we grew up. Yeah, people were carrying guns, but like if there was a problem, more than likely you're gonna hit somebody in the face. They're gonna hit you back. That's where it would go. And guns was a very last minute kind of thing. So you get stabbed before you
yeah.
get shot. You know what I'm saying? Now it's
I have a concealed weapon permit
mhm.
and I don't conceal
Yeah,
carry much. I
right.
mean, I have my gun at home. I guess I got the permit more or less if I need it, if
Yeah.
I need to go somewhere.
Mhm.
I remember I met up with somebody in a rough part of town.
Right.
And so I brought my gun with me.
Uh-huh.
And so I guess, it was more on a case to case basis. And maybe
Mhm.
well, maybe now I probably should, but I don't like having to holster it and cover it and then worry if it's showing and then go a loose baggy shirt. 'Cause,
Yeah.
I always wear these tight shirts up in here, so, you know.
I know, right? You wear a tight shirt. What are you talking about? Stop.
So, you know, interestingly enough, when
Mhm.
I was growing up, I had a concealed weapon permit
Right.
when I was, like, 21 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, I was 21
In Virginia or
in
out here?
Virginia.
Oh shit, I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that was a
I worked in
carrying
this
state.
pretty ghetto,
Mhm.
um, pizza chain place.
Okay.
It was in the rough part of town. It was like carry out and
Was
had
that right next to McDowell's?
where's McDowell's?
If you ever seen the movie Coming to
Oh,
America.
okay, that's what I thought it was. I thought it was, and then I was like, maybe that's
Sorry, man. You know, my jokes are
the
80s,
McDowell.
80s and 90s jokes.
But I worked in the rough part of town, frequently robbed.
Mhm.
And so I got robbed once and I was like, you know what, let me get a gun. So I went and got a gun, concealed weapon permit. And then I got robbed again with the gun on me. But, somebody's like up in here, they got the gun right in my face, they're screaming at me. And I
Mhm.
realized I'm like, okay, I can't reach for my gun right now.
Yeah.
And then what do I do? Like wait for him to turn around and then shoot him in the back?
And then you're
Like
going to
then I go
jail.
to jail.
Yep.
So then at that point, nothing really nothing changed.
Yep.
Except for now I was getting robbed with a gun. And I'm just like,
Mhm.
damn it. So then I ended up going to a party one night.
Right.
And I was young and stupid and drunk. And I got kicked out of the party. And then I ended up outside.
Uh-huh.
Or no, I didn't get I left the party, I was on the phone or something.
Right.
I go back inside, they're like, "Nah, you can't come in here." And I was like, "Oh, my friends are inside." I was like with a group of people, they're all inside
Mhm.
drinking. And unbeknownst to me, one of my friends was supposed to pay to drink off a keg or something like that, and was refilling his can of natural light
Uh-huh.
from the keg. Anyways, they knew that I was with the group, but
Right.
they were already pissed off at those people that are gonna kick him out.
Mhm.
And I was trying to walk back in. I didn't know any of this. So
Right.
they're just trying to not let me back in the house. And so the dude went to slam the door in my face. And so I'm standing at the front door and he slams the door. And I put my foot to stop it from hitting me because I'm
Mhm.
like halfway through the
Right, right, right.
door frame. I'm
Mhm.
like halfway in the door frame. door slamming. So I put my foot out, and the door bounces off my foot. And then so everybody in this house looks at me like I just kicked the door in.
Right.
Because the door like bounced off my foot and slammed back a little
Uh-huh.
bit. And then they looked at me and said, hey, what? Next thing you know, I'm out in the front yard. I got like 10, 15 people around me. And they're doing the, you're going to whoop your ass kind of scenario. And
Yeah.
they're like, yeah, man, I'm about to lay this dude out and all this. So anyways, I'm like, all right, catch an ass whooping. I got a gun under me. And
Mhm.
I'm like, I can't get beat up with a gun on me. Because what happens if it falls out? So
Yeah.
I pull the gun out. And then I get some drunk guy comes in my face. He's like, yeah, shoot me, like right in my face,
Mhm.
like putting the gun right up to his head. And I'm just like, and somehow or another, I got out of that situation
Uh-huh.
without shooting anybody. And then the car broke down or something happened, and I ended up walking home, and my belt broke, and then the gun was on my hip, and it was pulling my pants down, and started to rain. It just ended up being this
Jesus
horrendous
Christ.
night. So that's all happened, and then I sold my gun, and then
Uh-huh.
I didn't carry again.
Yeah.
And then later on in life, 20 years later, I got a gun again,
Right.
and a concealed weapon permit.
Uh-huh.
But I didn't trust myself for 20 years. So
I don't think it's not. It's just they allow you to have a gun, but there's so many limitations to how you are able to defend yourself.
yeah.
In Vegas, like everywhere you go, you can't bring the gun inside a place. Like you can't go to casinos, you can't go to bars, you can't go to movie theaters. Like there's so many places they don't want you bringing your firearm in. So if something were to pop off and you actually pulled your gun out and maybe saved somebody's lives, you still gonna wind up facing something criminal because you shouldn't have brought the gun in there with you in the first fucking place. So it gets to the point because me and my wife had CCWs, and I have to say I think I carried my gun once. I leave my guns in my car. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
I mean, what's the point? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not really trying to kill anybody if I don't have to.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So like 20 people, 20 people surrounding you. You got the gun in your pocket, and you're like, man, I really don't want to hurt nobody. I just don't want you
I
guys
just want to
hurting
leave.
me.
Yeah, I
like,
just want to go.
dude, like I
But
don't
then-
want to shoot you. Get out my face. I just want to walk away. Like y'all acting like you about to whoop my ass. Fuck out of here.
But I think I was more defensive than in that particular situation because I had a gun. I puffed up a little bit more
Right.
because I knew I had a gun. I had that fallback. And then once I got swarmed or surrounded, then at that point I'm like, oh crap.
Yeah.
And so
shit gets real.
I realized that in hindsight, if I didn't have the gun on me,
Mhm.
I probably would have just been like, they would have told me like, hey, you gotta go. I'd be like, my friends on the side, I'd be like, nah, man, no, sorry.
Right.
I probably would have just been like, all right, cool. I'll walk to the car, call my homies, like, hey, man,
They're not letting.
they did not let me back in. It ain't my house. I don't really know what to do.
Mhm.
Let's go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Probably how it would have played out. And so from that point, I realized I just wasn't mature enough for that. And so I guess it's more, people mature earlier. People
Mhm.
can handle responsibility better. At that time, I was pretty dumb.
Yeah.
So
How do you feel? Like I'm not sure if I had this conversation with you. I know I had it with somebody where I was like, I understand like, they do these criminal background checks. And although I know medical records are sealed, but I believe, and I'm speaking for myself, that
conspiracy theory.
nah, I just believe that like they should be able to at least tap in to see if you've had any like mental health hold. You've been through some psychiatry or some shit like that. There should be a different kind of like evaluation system for this.
Ah.
Like you ain't never been caught for a crime, but you are being allowed to carry a gun. They're not checking to see if you're violent, if you have domestic violence. Like none of that shit really fucking gets checked. You know what I'm saying? If it hasn't really been where you've been charged for a crime, that it doesn't pop up.
So there's two things here. First of all, there's nothing to buy a gun. There's nothing stopping you from buying a gun outside of being a felon.
Right.
So then
Right.
where all the instances you said, those are all implemented, at least for the state of Nevada, those are all implemented for concealed weapon permit. So if you do have domestic violence or like a restraining order,
Yeah.
you can't get the license.
No, but that's what I mean. Like if you were charged for it, like if it's just like, well, we were called to this person's house before, but
yeah.
there was
do you
nobody
think-
filed a criminal complaint. You know what I mean? Like, or this person was held for a psychiatric hold at fucking UMC or something like that, that's not popping up. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
those are the things. Like, I mean, come on, this guy grabbed an AR, lit off 24 shots, killed 2
Is that how
people,
many he shot?
24,
Jesus.
and I mean, he had the clip. He had way more bullets. If the gun didn't jam, he would have kept shooting. It actually jammed, and that's what saved other people's lives. That he walked in there with a fucking gun that wasn't maintained properly. You know, so I mean, you think about how many more people would have died. And this dude, like an AR, I'm sorry, I struggle with that. I know a lot of my friends are gonna get mad, but like, what do you need an AR for? Like, what do you need an AR for home protection?
My thing is, like, where do you draw the line? Are you like, hey, look, I got a right to carry a gun.
Mhm.
I should be able to buy a Scud missile. Like,
Right? Like, I got a grenade. You never know. What the fuck you mean you never know? Like,
but here's the thing.
uh,
I don't fault anybody for getting an assault
right.
rifle because other people have assault rifles.
Mm-hmm.
And so I always look at worst case scenario. Like, what if somebody turned up in my front yard with an assault rifle? I don't want to go out there with a 9mm.
I hear you. I hear
And
you.
so it's tit for tat. It's hey, if other people have it, there are countries that have very strict gun laws.
Mhm.
And I think that's very fitting, right? And so I think that if I moved to that country, it would be asinine for me to be like, hey, I need a gun.
Mhm.
Guns are rare. Nobody has guns. Maybe the police, and maybe there's a handful of people that have guns, right? But here in America, everyone has access to guns. Everyone has access to weapons. So
Mhm.
how the hell can you sleep safe at night knowing that anybody could turn up with a firearm that they just purchased
Yeah.
20 minutes earlier? The background checks are done in 10 minutes now, if that.
So when you did the CCW class, did it trip you out that they were like, well, if somebody breaks into your house, but you wake up and you approach them and you see them running away from you, if you shoot them in the back, you could be held liable. Did that trip you out? Like, yo, this motherfucker's he's in my home. He hopped my wall. He broke through my door. And because he's running away from me and I shoot him, I'm liable.
Yeah, I don't really know how I feel about that.
Right.
Because I understand both sides of the fence, right? And so
You're on my property. You cross the fence. Like you're not, we're not talking about the other side of the fence. Like, bro, you came to my side of the fence.
I'm pretty sure
My wife, my family, everybody's home. I don't care if you're running away from me. I don't know if you're running to the other room to hide or to grab something. And I don't know if
I was in the same
you know what I mean?
situation.
Like, what the fuck?
I just had my gun. I had it holstered under my shirt. I had the shoulder carry. where
Okay.
It was underneath my armpit.
Mm.
And so it was, in hindsight, not as easily accessible as the hip holster.
Okay. Right.
And so the whole time I'm thinking, I got a gun in my face. And, this guy probably shaken and scared, just as I was. He's screaming. It's not like you would see in the movie where somebody pulls out a gun and they're like, "Oh, give me the money." Like, this dude's like, gun out,
adrenaline.
and he's
pumping.
screaming, and it's just like it's intense.
Yeah,
Volume is way up.
Adrenaline. Who
Dude.
knows what kind of drugs and alcohol were combined with
And
that fucking.
there is zero chance I could pull a gun out.
Mhm.
There's no chance. The second I lift my shirt up, you start seeing scraps around my shoulders here. You see the gun. There's no way I'm getting it. But he turned his back, just as you said. Now, it might not have been my house, but it's a place of business. What if I own the place? And now he's in my home. Essentially, like, this is my business here. And so if someone came in here, I'm going to treat this as if it was my house.
Yep.
So if somebody came in here with a gun, it's no difference than coming to my house with a gun.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that moment, I already knew the consequences. So it sunk in. So as you mentioned. So I don't really know where I stand. So myself personally, I've been in that exact same scenario.
Yeah.
Now, it wasn't my home. Maybe if I had a kid upstairs sleeping in the bedroom, my wife in the kitchen,
Yeah, that's my point.
it might
Like,
be a little I might be more inclined to
like you
try to handle the situation.
You're turning your back on me, but where the fuck are you going? Because right now you're in my home. Like, I don't know if you're trying to run out the door. I don't know if you're trying to run but now I can go to jail for shooting you. It's one of those things. It's like, oh, it's better to have it than not to have it. That I agree with.
But back to the responsibility. You could have told me the same thing back when I was 20 years old. It's
Mhm.
better to have it than not have it. And that scenario was not better for me to have it
Yeah.
because I was irresponsible
Mhm.
and I was not making the right decisions. Now, maybe I saved an ass whooping. Maybe I would have had brain damage getting beat up by 15
Mhm.
people. And maybe I would have been a vegetable for the rest of my life. And maybe having the gun in that moment saved me.
Yeah.
Perhaps
mean,
I don't know. But I do know that in hindsight, I know I acted differently
Yeah.
because I was carrying and I was not comfortable with the responsibility that came with it. And so for that reason, I chose to not carry
Yeah.
anymore. And
Yeah.
it was because I didn't trust myself.
So do you carry a gun in your vehicle?
No.
No?
It's more about my home
Okay. See, I
because
have
I'm sleeping.
yeah, I have
so-
one in my house. Well, I have a couple in my house. I have one in my car. My wife has one in her car because you are allowed to leave it in your car.
Yeah.
You are allowed to even have it loaded in your car because it's an extension of your household. You know what I'm saying? And for me, that makes the best sense. Like, I leave it in my car. God forbid if something pops off, then at least I know it's there. You
Yeah.
know, but that split second of having to make that decision, like, okay, do I shoot? Do I not? Like with all the laws and the rules of like it's too much. You know what I mean? So it's like you get a chance to walk away and really reevaluate your situation. Like I know where my gun is at. Is this really something I'm gonna need? You know? And then I mean, I think the likelihood of you being able to process that as opposed to something happening is
Yeah.
the likelihood is you're gonna have more time to put this thought together as opposed to if shit just pops off, it's over. You know what I mean?
I took away something from the class when I took it because I
Yeah.
took it more recently.
Okay.
What and your big takeaway was, hey, be careful, don't shoot somebody in the back if they break
Mhm.
into your house. My thing is that we watched like 15 videos
Right.
or 10 videos or whatever it was, and they were celebrating the times that you could shoot somebody. And so it was like, okay, here, this guy broke the glass on the car.
Uh-huh.
Now you can shoot him. And it was weird to me, right? Because now you're playing with, as you mentioned, it's almost the opposite of what you're saying. Like, hey, you can't shoot this person at this point in time. But it was like the class was applauding when you could shoot somebody and like, oh, here's your opportunity. And so that one kind of made me feel uneasy because here's somebody outside your car. It was the example that kind of
Mhm.
set in. He's outside your car. He's banging on your window. You can't shoot him. But now the glass breaks because he hit it with, maybe his watch hit the
Mhm.
glass.
Yeah.
Now the glass breaks. Free game.
Yep.
Pull the trigger. Let's go.
That makes it because the person's actively coming towards you.
I understand the scenario,
know?
but it was the way that the class was taught
Yeah.
that it was like green light.
Oh,
Go ahead.
yeah, okay.
Start. Pull the trigger. Let's go.
Well, I mean, I guess if you're gonna sit in that class, you're gonna pay several $100. You paid a couple grand for your pistol, right?
Yeah.
And you're sitting, you go in it with the intention of like maybe something bad happened to you, and you want to be able to protect your family. And now you're sitting in the class, and you're like, okay, well, this is the process, and to me legally to be able to protect my family with a firearm. And then you're sitting there, and you're being told, oh, by the way, you can't do that. You can't do that. And if somebody actually does this, guess what? You have to let them walk away. You have to, no, they kicked in your door, but when you pulled out the gun at that time, they were turning around, running out the door. You can't shoot. So like I could see, like, oh my God, like, this country
Yeah.
says it's okay to protect yourself, to carry firearms and protect your family, but they're also telling you, like, hey, even if they're in your house, you have to be responsible and let that person walk away. It's like, what the contradiction, what if that person already stabbed people? Like there's just why would you let somebody leave your house knowing damn well they had no intention of being there? What's it like? This ain't fucking Santa Claus. That motherfucker ain't dropping a gift off through your chimney. This motherfucker's here to take your shit. And God forbid, probably harm somebody or even rape somebody.
Yeah.
There's so many different scenarios, but you have to be the one with control. You have to be the one to be like, okay, no. Oh, he turned his back. Okay, you lucky. Bye. You know? This person's already came in your house with something negative on their mind. Like they are not there to bring you cookies.
Yeah.
Like that guy that walked into LVAC, there's no reason he was there other than to hurt somebody. Period.
Yeah.
Right? And if people like you're in the gym, with the rules of I can't bring a gun into the gym, what if that was, what if they didn't have those rules in place and there was somebody there to actually take this guy down and
My
save
question-
people's lives?
Here's my question. If this guy's gun jammed,
Mm-hmm.
and I've seen the videos of when he was taken out.
Right.
So if the guy's gun jammed, and now he's not firing,
Uh-huh.
and he had time to leave the building and out the front door, I don't know, man. I feel like myself personally, I would try to jump in on the situation. Because I mean, here's the thing: like, what if he tries to unjam his gun? What if he like kind of takes it halfway apart?
Right.
What if he finds it? Like, there's, in my opinion, all of the people that were at that gym probably had an opportunity to confront this assailant
Mm.
as there was a downtime on his attack.
Facts.
And I just think that a lot of people are cowards, man. And I guess you could say like, hey, you got to be in the moment. You know, maybe you hear gunfire, you're not right there in the situation,
Right.
so you get closer to an exit, whatever the situation may be. But I don't know, man. I just think about it. I'm like, man, I just want to help others and protect others. And I know, like, one time I was driving down the road in Virginia,
Mhm.
and I see some dude just beating on this girl.
Right.
Just middle of the day. Like,
Mhm.
it wasn't like he was punching her, but he was smacking the crap out of her. He's
Right.
like hitting her. He's like swinging full arms coming down, hitting her right in the face, open hand smacks, just grabbing her hair
Mhm.
in the middle of broad daylight on the sidewalk. And so then I pull over and I get out of my car. I confront the situation. Immediately start swinging on me.
Mhm.
Immediately.
Yeah.
And he was a lot bigger than me. And I caught an ass whooping.
Right.
But at the same time, I still stepped up and did something. And even then, still nobody even, they see me. You would figure like lead by example. Like, hey, someone sees me, like I pull my car over, I get out of my car, I walk up, I'm like, what the hell? And in this entire moment, and this is during a busy street with many cars and people walking around, not one person had anything to do.
Right.
And I'm just like, dude, this is a lady getting beat in broad ass daylight, and nobody's doing anything about it. And so I just look back in this scenario at the gym. Dude is killing people with an assault rifle. His gun jams. I'm sure the very first thing he did was drop it and run.
Right.
I'm sure he might have like grabbed it and looked at it or something. I don't know, man. Like, step up, man. And I feel like there's this growing cowardice with society, that people don't want to risk themselves for the good of the rest.
Right.
I don't know, man. Is that just me, or am I just kind of like, am I overthinking?
I think in a perfect world, everybody would step up, but this isn't the world we live in. You know what I mean? And sadly to say that not everybody has the same huevos, as you. Period. You know what I mean? So like, most people are there. They don't give a fuck about your family. They're worried about going home to their family. And yeah, in a perfect world, it would be the right thing to do to jump on dude. You know what I'm saying? But again, that's not what everybody's about. What I would do, I'm like, number one, in my mind, I'm not even thinking about saving other people. I'm like, his shit jammed. He's close enough to me where if his shit gets fucking, if he's able to get it working, I'm probably next.
Yeah.
Instinctively, I'm going after him. I'm protecting myself. I'm not thinking about everyone else. I'm thinking about protecting myself. So it's surprising that so many people were around him and nobody thought about jumping on him. Like, in your case, you hopped out the car to save somebody. We're talking, this is an active shooter. He's going after random people and nobody stepped up and yoked him up.
Yeah. I don't know how I would act an active shooter, but
yeah,
I can only assume. And I can tell you what I'm doing off the top of my head, but I can just tell you that if people I cared for were in danger, I know for a fact that I'm gonna, it's me in front of everyone else, bro. I'm gonna do whatever I can to make sure people I care about.
Yeah.
Ain't no active shooter gonna pop up in my house and not do something. That's for
Yeah.
one. I don't even care if there's no gun around me. If I happen to be downstairs, my gun's upstairs, somebody breaks in, like you ain't getting upstairs.
Yep.
At least not
That's
with me like cowering down.
That's what I'm saying. Like with that stupid rule, like I don't know. I think I might be in trouble. I might honestly wind up going to jail for killing somebody because he turned around and ran. Like, I'm sorry, where are you going, bro? You already you already passed the line of no retreat, bro. Like, stand here and do something because I'm shooting your ass. I'm sorry.
Don't you think some people just? I think at the end of the day, kind of where this conversation's gone is that a lot of people are scared, right?
This is a fucked up world, bro. There's a lot of reasons why people would be scared, and I mean, not saying that that's how you should live your life, you know.
But people are scared to the point where they don't want to act, and it's not even just in the face of an active shooter or someone threatening your life. People are just scared to act in general.
Yeah,
you don't quit their job. They're like, hey man, like, no man, I got my insurance, got my pension plan. Like this is what I know. Like I'm 40 years old. Like I can't try something else. And I'm just like, what are you scared of?
Let me ask you a question. So when you were in that store and you were working, and that dude put that gun to your face, would you? If you can, because I mean, this is what 20 years ago. Can you remember what that feeling was like? Would you feel? Because I've had guns put in my face before, and I felt nothing. Like I just went numb, and it was like, oh.
First, it's like a wave of numbness.
Yeah,
it's like it comes over you. You get, I guess you get like your closest thing would be like that goosebump kind of feeling, but it's way past that.
But you see it in the movies where the motherfucker gets down. Oh, don't shoot me there, and like I remember, I was just like,
thoughts slow down. I think at least for me. Yeah, my
nothing
thoughts
in
slow
my
down.
Yeah.
You would say like, okay, I'm gonna move to the left. Maybe I can grab this. Maybe this. I'm just blank, and I think to myself, I'm like, oh shit, okay. And then I'm like, he's really fucking pissed. That was like my biggest takeaway in that scenario was he's really mad. He was screaming, brother. Like he had the gun out. He was like, ah! I don't even remember what he said. He was just like, ah. And the funny thing was remember I had said I had got robbed before,
right? And
so before was a drastic difference. So before, I guess you if you get robbed more than once, I guess it's different every time or something. But the first time,
I agree.
The guy was almost like sympathetic. He's like, "Hey man," he's like, "Just give me the money in the register." Like he's like, "Sorry, whatever." He's like, "Just give me the fucking money, whatever." That was kind of the tone. Right. And so I was like, you know what? I need to have a gun ready for this. So I had a gun. Next time, dude comes in, just cranked. Like cranked, bro. Like he's just volume was like max. Like I told you, it was intense, intense, and it's probably a good thing. I'm happy he came in like that, because if he would have came in calm and collected and apologetic, I probably would have not been as intimidated, and I probably would have thought more about reaching and waiting for him to turn or whatever. And so this guy caught me off guard, and I was just like, whoa. And so, but it wasn't a fear. It was more like, whoa, what's my next move? Okay, like you're here. Okay, guns in my face. You're off. You're not acting rational. Yeah. And so I don't want to trigger you. And so, cool. What do you need, man? Here's money. And so I wasn't operating from fear. It was operating from I couldn't assess the situation, I guess. And so I didn't know what this guy was just off the rails. And so that's kind of where that situation was. But it wasn't operating from a place of fear. Yeah. I think maybe in hindsight, maybe I was fearful that I had a gun and I did nothing. But in the moment, I wasn't scared.
Yeah. I think in any situation where your life is possibly threatened, it's the fight or flight thing. It just, and I'm speaking from my experience, I just randomly had different experiences, bro. You know what I'm saying?
I
Like,
think if you get a gun pulled
Yeah.
on you, you're gonna have a different experience each
I
and every
remember
time.
this one time I was on Kingsbridge Road in the Bronx. It was like 2 in the morning, and I'm with these two females, right? And to this day, I believe I got set up, right? I had a chain, I had a bracelet, I had looking, feeling myself, right? And we go into this chicken spot, Kennedy Fried Chicken, right? And I'm ordering food, and these two dudes walk in, and something felt a little off, right? But whatever, it's my neighborhood. I'm over here, like I live here. This is I'm good. I know everybody, right? And it just felt awkward, and I'm like, okay, you know. Next thing I know, two other dudes walk in, boom, and they're kind of like looking at each other but not saying anything. I go back to ordering my food. Next thing I know, some dude hits me in the back, right? I turn around, I swing on him. The other three dudes jump me, and out of nowhere, five more kids run into the restaurant and start stomping the shit out of me, right? And I'm sitting there and I'm
And you're
thinking,
still questioning if it's a setup? That's
bro,
definitely a
no,
setup.
no, it's definitely. But what I'm
Okay.
saying is, like, at first, the instant where I was like, oh, it's on, right? And I'm
Got it.
thinking I could really handle myself, me against four other dudes, right? But now I'm on the floor. There's more people stomping the shit out of me. They're trying to pull my bracelet off, but I had one of those big ass locks on it, right? So it got to the point where I was getting my ass so whipped, I was just like, yo, just take it. Please take the fucking bracelet and stop fucking hitting me, right? And I'm doing my best. I went from throwing punches to now I'm just covering my fucking face and trying not to get anybody stomp me into my spine, right? Each scenario creates a different trauma response, right? You would think a whole bunch of people in the gym, half the motherfuckers in there got on steroids, giant as fuck, and not one person tried to jump on this
That's
guy.
what I'm saying.
Every situation has a different.
I'm just
You know what I
looking.
mean?
If there's ever a place, so there's two places you don't rob. One would
Yeah.
be the gun store, right? You don't go into a gun store with a gun. That's pretty asinine. But I would automatically assume, with the level of testosterone and like go get it attitude,
Yeah.
if you're busting in the gym with a gun, I'm pretty sure I would just, if you ask me like, hey, somebody busting with a gun, active shooter, what's the most likely place that people are going to step up and take dude down? And I would say the gym would be number one.
And in that gym, so when you walk in, I think it's, I don't.
You got the MMA thing.
Yeah, I was about to say the name of the MMA gym, but I'm not gonna go there, right? But as soon as you walk in, on both sides, front desk is here, and then all the weights are behind that shit. But you have MMA fighters on both sides right here. And part of that video, the guy's just standing there with his gun right there. So there were so many opportunities where somebody could have.
For those of you watching, the just the preface here is that the shooter shot inside the building and then ran outside of this 2-story gym and made it all the way outside into the parking lot before he got shot by police officers. And at no point did anything happen inside.
I mean, I don't really blame anybody for not doing anything, but at the same time, it's kind of like.
Because if I was on the other end, I'll say this: if I was on the other end of the
Mm.
gym, I wouldn't have done nothing.
Right.
If I'm near an exit and somebody's shooting on the second floor or whatever it is, okay, cool. I'm not gonna take on unnecessary risk. I probably would have just left. But if I find myself near the active shooter and I see what's going on, gun jams, then okay, then like at this point, like. Yeah, step up, dude.
Yeah, well, that mentality, the savior mentality, or it's built into certain people, you know.
Yeah.
It's a natural default, and sadly, there are a lot less people with that than there are with, you know. You look at law enforcement officers, and how many times have you heard a story where a cop backed off a situation, you know? Like, have you ever seen, like, there are times, and it's built into a situation where a cop, right, will have to back away from a situation, even though they're law enforcement, they're in every right. But if they're outmanned, outnumbered, even if they're like let's say they're chasing a car, right, and that person they're chasing is very much off the rails, right? They're supposed to back off, not chase them. because in turn, what they can do, that person can wind up running into a store, killing other people. Like it is what there's too many fucking rules out there. Like, I'm sorry, if you're an asshole, you're killing somebody, everybody has a right to kill you. You don't deserve. Oh, maybe he has mental health issues. Well, he also has an AR and he's already killed 2 people, so fuck him. And I'm sorry, like
Well,
that's how I feel. Like
here's the
fuck him.
thing.
He can die too.
So the police officer that took him down
Mhm.
essentially shot him in the back. If you watch the video, he leaves the building, he passes the police officer, and then he gets shot.
Right.
So he's in the clear there, right? And so why not me in my house?
You see, it's
Yeah.
frustrating, man. Like all you want to do is just protect yourself and your family. You know what I mean? Like and they put these rules on you where it's like,
But I think if you get to that point where you've taken someone's life, I think that kind of rules go out the window at that point.
I mean, you still are held in a criminal case.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
you still, I mean, they are going to arrest you.
But I still think you're
you are
going
getting
to
arrested.
have a hard time serving any prison time if in that moment. Now, if someone hurt your family and then you turn up 2 weeks later, that's different.
Question, right? And I think this happened in Texas, which is really surprising to me that it went in this direction, right? You know the MMA fighter Cain Velasquez. Do you know who that is?
I know who you're talking about. I'm not deep into UFC.
So a couple years ago, he got arrested, right?
I know what story you're talking about.
Okay,
but
so somebody molested a young child in his family, and he went off the rails, grabbed a gun, sought the dude out, and shot him. Right? Went to jail, got released on bond, in and out of court, and just recently, I believe he got sentenced to 5 years. This is somebody who was protecting his family, right? And he went after the guy. Where did he go wrong?
I think where he went wrong was taking the man's life. I think if he would have just,
I don't know if he killed the guy. I think he
did.
He did. Okay,
he did.
Yeah,
taking the life was the problem.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you could paint out a perfect scenario for justice, being a UFC fighter, just go over there and beat the shit out of him. I mean, beat him down bad, and then go in front of a judge and be like, "Hey, man, this guy's has these long-term injuries. He's hurt, whatever. And, you know, they're your 12 months or whatever it is, or your 8 months or your 15 months, whatever the judge decides to give to you." I think that would be in a playbook scenario what I would do. I probably would be in the same boat as him. If someone molested one of my kids, I probably would try to take their life. And so I don't fault the man, but I also don't fault the system for the punishment. Take someone's life. He didn't take someone's life on the other end. You know what I mean? It's not a reciprocal.
I mean,
I agree with him.
He destroyed that little man, that child's life. That child's gonna have some really bad need for therapy.
If I could rewrite the laws, if I was king of my country and this is something happened in my country, then I think that punishment would be a lot more severe than it is here in the United States. And unfortunately, the UFC fighter probably looked at the situation and said, like, "Hey, this happened to my kid. Nobody's going to do shit about it.
Yeah.
I need to handle it myself."
Yeah.
And so I think the justice system has faults. I think this justice system is broken in certain regards. I think it works well in others, but there are obvious parts that do not work well that are broken. And I think that the frustration behind the fact that there won't be justice served, that you got to do it yourself, is an indictment on the justice system itself. Is that like, hey, someone can come in, molest my kid, and then it's a whole process. I got to come up with evidence. I got to get a lawyer. I got to go over here. I got to do this. And then like maybe he gets off. And then, like, what kind of shit is that? And I got to hire a lawyer and pay money. Or just go down there and beat the shit out of him and try to kill this guy. That's and I don't fault the guy for that, but I think that the justice system itself is not going to adequately punish someone like that.
Right.
I mean, let me ask you a question. There's a sex offender registry, right?
Mm-hmm.
These are people that are out on the streets.
Yeah.
These are known sex offenders and then there's ones that are there that have sex offenders against children. And you can literally look this up. You can go state by state in your neighborhood and you can say, okay, which people in my neighborhood have sexually assaulted kids? And I can pull them up. Like, why are they on the streets, first of all? And if you have sexually assaulted a kid, why aren't you punished to some extent that you don't see daylight?
Mm.
And that is the reality. And the reality is these people are out here walking around, and if they sexually assault your kid, more than likely they're going to be out. They're going to do their minimum punishment or whatever it is,
Uh-huh.
and they're going to be out and about. And so I don't blame the dude for doing it.
Yeah.
I probably would have done the same damn thing. And
I met him before at, ironically, LVAC, right? And he was incredibly nice. Like, this is a big ass dude. He fights a heavyweight, right? And he was just a nice person, right? So to see, and obviously he's an MMA fighter, so you know he can go hot real fast, right? But for him to take at that point, I can only imagine as a father or uncle or just a family member, just to know that your child or your nephew is going to be walking around scarred for life. I mean, how does the system allow it? How does the system?
I'd assume I do the same.
You know what I mean? Like, that's just it's I don't know, man. That's crazy. You know, to think that this guy is probably doing more time than the guy that fucking raped this kid. You know, well, I mean, in that case, wait a minute, you said he's dead. Never mind.
But if another person,
You made a good old fashioned, by the way.
yes, Stacey, I just finished mine. But if someone else had, the same crime,
Mhm.
different person, jail time, depending on who your lawyer is in the
Mhm.
state, yeah, you could definitely see less time than.
It just
What do you get? 5 years? You
Yeah,
said?
well, 5 years, but he also did like 2 years during like the initial, if I'm right,
Yeah.
the initial arrest.
Yeah.
You know, like they held him for a while. Like it took a while for him to get bail. It's just crazy, like the do's and don'ts, and each state has different laws. You know, like I don't know. Does Nevada carry a death sentence? Like if that guy would have been arrested and not
No,
killed,
I think
I don't-
for the United States,
Mhm.
if it's a death sentence only if you kill somebody.
Mhm.
I haven't heard of anyone getting the death sentence for not.
Well, I'm talking about the LVAC shooting.
Oh.
Like that guy already. So I think each state is differently. I don't think
Yeah.
New York carries a death penalty, which is
There are
crazy.
several states.
No,
that-
Texas definitely
does,
I'm assuming Texas does.
No, it
because
does,
It's
it does,
Texas,
yeah.
so you know.
Now there's a handful of states that
Mm.
don't have the death penalty. There's a lot of states that have the death penalty and don't use
Ever,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, there's some states that they have a death penalty, but they haven't used it or
Mhm.
haven't enacted any punishment
Yeah.
in decades. And so I don't know.
Well, I mean, shit. You have a membership to LVAC still, right? So like,
Yeah.
that's not going to stop you from going to get it.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, what would you do if someone brought a gun into LVAC? Just like their person, like say they had their duffel bag.
Mhm.
Say you're working out with a buddy, and he's got his duffel bag, and he's next to the bench. He's
Mhm.
got a 9mm in there. If it's your homie, would you say anything, or just be like, "Okay, cool, yeah, no"?
Man.
I mean, I'm not saying say something to like authorities. I'm not saying,
No.
but would you be like,
No, like I mean, honestly, it wouldn't bother me at all.
wouldn't bother?
It wouldn't bother me at all. You know, I
prior-
grew up in New York, which when I first came to Vegas and I got a gun, they laughed at me because I still had my New York ID. They were like, "Dude, you got to transfer that over to a Nevada ID. We don't accept communist states." That's what they call New York, because you can't
Mm.
own a gun if you live in New York unless your job requires you to. So like, even in New York, I've seen so many guns that it's not as big of a deal. It's 100% the person with the gun. So if you're asking me if I think one of my homies should not have a gun, no. All my friends are conscious people. To be honest, the people that I know should not have a gun. I don't mess with them, man. They're like
Yeah.
they've been problems. So
I just think that prior to the
Mm.
LVAC shooting,
right.
if one of my homies is at the gym with a gun in the duffel bag, be like, "What are you doing? Like, you bringing a gun to the gym?
Yeah, when
Like, stop it right now! Like,
I
go put that
mean,
away!" Like, one place you don't need a gun is the gym,
right.
and yet, lo and behold,
Yeah,
that's what I'm
like,
saying. Like, my perspective has changed.
yeah.
That's my whole thing, dude.
But I mean, the law is the law, right?
Yeah,
If you're not supposed to, you're just not. Don't bring it.
yeah.
But like, if you're one of my homies and you bring it, especially now, I'm like, well, see, there's justification for that. Like you
Mm.
these weird people are putting us in weird situations, and it's not like it only happens in big cities. This is happening in schools, nightclubs. I mean, health institutions. Like, there's just stupid and crazy is everywhere.
Nothing's off limits.
It's
That's what I.
everywhere.
That's what I.
Yeah, man.
You can be at work. You can be at. You gotta be. You
You
gotta
know
at
what's
least.
frustrating, right? Is when people are like, well, back in the days, it never happened. Shut the fuck up. It happened. You know what what didn't happen was we didn't have social media for the news to travel that fast
You know what
the way
used
it
to
happens
happen?
now.
We used to have serial killers, dude. Serial killers, and then like the bombers. We don't got that no more,
Bro.
Not saying I miss it, but I'm
No,
just saying that
sure
like.
we do. I'm sure it's there. It's just
But yeah, you had those serial killers, the Jeffrey Dahmers, and all these.
Yep.
That,
that
when's the
shit
last
going
time you heard
on.
of a serial killer?
I mean, it's been a minute,
That's what I mean.
but I promise you, I promise you, these weird fuckers are out there.
But that's
you
my
know?
thing, is that in the past there was ways that people would get attention for horrifying the public.
Right.
And I think that's what you're getting now. Is you're getting people desperate for attention, horrifying the public. Like, hey, what's going to be the most horrifying thing I can do right now is to get an AK-47 or an AR-15 and walk into a crowded area. And in the past, I think back in the 80s, the most horrific thing you could do was to come up with this like themed killing spree where you go around. I remember growing up in Virginia, we had the DC sniper. Do you remember? Did you ever hear about that guy?
Yeah. He had the young kid
John
in the trunk.
Malveaux, yeah.
And he had the hole cut out and was
was-
just sniping people from the trunk
They
of the
killed
car.
like 15 people, man. And that was right in my area where I grew up at. And
Yeah,
so
the
it was,
Zodiac killer. There was just all kinds of weirdos.
but
out
that's
there.
gone because at that point in time, that was the terrifying thing that you could do, was
Right.
be the next serial killer. Now, the most terrifying thing you can do is be an
The
active
guy
shooter.
that walks into Walmart and starts
Yeah.
shooting people.
And the thing is that's kind of a little bit more lazy. At least hats off to the serial killers back in the day. Like, at least they put in some effort. Like,
They had a theme to it.
yeah. So it's just
Like, welcome to
crazy.
your execution today.
Yeah.
We are gonna do it with the
not trying to make light of that, but
No.
but at the same time, it's interesting how like even mass shootings or mass killings have become even lazier now. Because you had the Unabomber was another one.
Yeah.
That then you had the guy that the Oklahoma City he pulled in
with the
moving
the truck
truck.
full of bomb C4
took
and
out a
all that
whole
shit.
building,
Yeah.
dude.
I think
But to what you were saying is we don't have mass shooters.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have mass shooters back in the day, but there was something that replaced mass shooters, right?
This is what I'm saying about social media, right? It's always been there. We just didn't have information did not travel the way it does now. And it's like, for those people, oh man, like Vegas has a lot of shit that happens behind the scenes that never makes it to the news, right? No state is free of that. There's shit that happens behind closed doors, and if it didn't hit, the public and their, government's able to keep that on the wraps, it's not making it to the news. Social media now, though, where everybody, perfect example, I bet you to some degree, right? Even though people were dropped on the floor hiding, somebody had their fucking phone out video recording shit.
Oh, that's the worst,
Right?
dude.
And that's like, if you see people get into a fight, nobody jumps in to stop the fight. They pull out their phones and start recording.
That's got to be the most coward shit
Right?
there, bro. I saw somebody on the subway doing that one time. They
Yeah.
they were watching somebody get like, it was on the subway, probably New York or something.
Probably
Like,
New York.
Yeah, they were watching somebody get like, I think they set somebody on fire. You remember watching that? Did you saw
I
that?
do actually, and,
And
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 that
I was
person I
like,
think got in trouble for that.
oh, how
Yeah,
disgusting
they
is that?
tried to file legal charges over those people with the phones because they didn't do
Dude,
anything. They just
that's
watched it,
that's the
and those people,
craziest
none of them got in trouble.
craziest thing I've ever
Yeah.
seen.
But that's like the world's been fucked up way before 2025. Like shit like this has been happening for decades. It's just now
But I
like
think a lot
it's
more people
so.
are cowards, though.
Bro, people been that way forever.
You think so?
Forever. Yeah, you think in the 80s they were tougher than they are today?
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know. I look back in the '60s and these guys going to World War II and like
bro,
or
we're me and
Vietnam
you are
at that
around
time.
around the same age, right? You can't tell me in different waves, like the shit that happens today, it was a different version back then. You know? It's like I tell all my friends these days, like if you have a problem with the way the young kids are doing shit today, you have a problem with growing. You know, and that goes back, even though it's completely the opposite of we're talking about shootings and stuff like that. Like even the way people do it now, it's like people are, you know why there are serial killers? They're gonna get more attention if they go in fucking LVAC with their phone and be like, I'm here to shoot people, watch me. They think that's what it's about now, you know. So it's evolved. The craziness hasn't changed, but it's evolved on how people are doing it.
But I
Now
do
they want
think
the attention. They don't want to be the silent guy. Like, oh, connect the dots here.
I do think
Leo,
that
Aquarius,
society's gotten
Zodiac killer.
cheaper. I mean, softer.
Okay.
And I look back just in history.
Hmm.
I think about the hardest person out there was probably a caveman. He didn't give a damn.
Uh-huh.
Go fight a lion or a saber-toothed tiger,
Right.
or whatever animals are at that time.
Uh-huh.
And then you look back at people in World War I and these like old antique farmers, like they didn't give a damn, you know. And then World War II, Vietnam, and I just think that just naturally that each generation is going to become a little bit more softer. And I think it's due to technology and comfort and
Right.
accessibility and technology. Just
Well, you have somebody sitting in a fucking office in fucking somewhere in Nevada, flying drones, dropping bombs on people across the fucking globe.
they
So
do that here, and yeah.
yeah. So I
The-
mean,
the-
technology, sure, but that's
the
what
Air
I mean.
Force Base here.
Yeah.
That's their thing, is that they fly the drones here.
But that's what I mean about social media and the internet and all that. There's just it's evolved into a different version. It's just evolved into a different version, and now the information gets to us quicker. You know, like you know how many fucking celebrities or sports people were fucking people on the side having these families, and now you can't go anywhere. Yo, people, right? As much as people don't like LeBron James, everybody has something positive to say about him. Well, he ain't get caught up in the, no baby mamas. You know, he keeps his family in this regard, and that. You'll never know. That dude's smart enough to keep his social media somewhere else, right? But
And LeBron is not going to keep under wraps some side life that he's.
what I'm
running.
saying is though, like it's
I know
just
you're saying.
yeah, it's I don't know, people like or people to get offended like oh, you ain't like my picture. Like, bro, I'm sorry, man. Like, I'm not into social media like you, bro. I don't care about that stuff. Anyway,
All right, well, old fashions are empty. That means
that's
time's
the
up.
end of the episode. In all sincerity, though, prayers and blessings to everybody's family that was
Yeah.
affected at the LVAC shooting, or for that matter, anywhere that's or any group of people to have to deal with society's worst. You know,
Yeah, it's hard when it hits at home.
it's
We
very
had
sad.
The
It's
October 8th
Yep.
shooting.
Yep,
Was it October 8th?
October 1st.
October 1st, yes.
That was incredibly sad, but it was also a time where the city came together. You know, me being in New York during 9/11, where for a whole like 2 weeks, New Yorkers were looking at each other saying hello.
Yeah.
You know, like even that. But shout out to these people and their families, because one asshole decided he didn't like his life, so he blew up other people's. There's no respect for that. I have no remorse for that person. You know, the fact that you took it there is fuck you. I hope you burn in hell. And I hope everybody's life that was taken, even if they weren't right with God, I hope they all make it somewhere to heaven. You know, very sad. So
All right. Well, until next time.
Till next
Between
time.
mistakes.
Salute, my G.
Peace.
Peace.